Today's episode of Wine Time Fridays is brought to you in part by our friends at Elsome Cellars and Naked Wines.
It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil. Shelley is ready with her wine bell because last week I had to do it all by myself. Screwed it up. It is episode 266 on this Friday, Shelley, May 23rd. Happy Friday. It's wine time.
Happy Friday. It's almost the Queen's birthday.
Oh my God, here we go. I really am happy to have you back. And I'm happy to announce we have more guests. This is week 4 of Oregon Wine Month. And today we have Drew Allen and Ella Burgess. Please say I pronounced that right.
Right on. You got it.
Yes, I have my moments. With us from Compris Vineyard in Oregon. As we continue the love on Oregon wine, welcome to the both of you.
Thanks very much for having us. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, excited to be here.
You got it. Drew, you're the COO, or the Chief Operating Officer. And Ella, she is in charge of all the guest experience and marketing coordinator. They're at Compris. We're going to get into both of your roles and your stories. But first, we're going to get into one of your wines because it's no fun to talk when our glasses are empty.
Agreed. It's no fun to talk. Oh.
When the glasses are empty.
Okay. On the wine podcast, not every day.
No, every day, Shelley. Like, absolutely. Every day.
Every day.
I feel like I'm
a great lubricator for conversation. You should know this better than most.
That was pretty in sync.
I just opened. Perfect. A 2023 Compris Vineyard Wavelength Chardonnay. For quite a few, for a long time, I really felt like Oregon wines were Pinot Noir and Pinot Grigio. That's more and more. Chardonnays are coming around the corner. This is so pretty, by the way. Here we are to health, wealth, and abundance, and gratitude, and romance.
And peace on earth.
Cheers.
Peace on earth. Cheers. Welcome.
Yeah, I love that Drew has
This artwork is very cool. They have to see the artwork.
It is very cool. We're going to go ahead and have a little swirl.
Wait, is that on purpose?
It's not very loud, though.
No, if it's too loud, YouTube will take it off.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Well, you said the label, and I felt compelled to play a little Alanis Morissette because these wines are inspired by a lot of music. 2 weeks ago, we had Bells Up, all about music and wine and classical. This drawing on this label was inspired by that little ditty that you just heard from Alanis Morissette.
Hopefully they heard it. Hopefully YouTube didn't take it away.
Well,
possibly.
it could happen. YouTube's a bunch of schmucks. Stupid Google. Anyway, tell us a little bit about the idea behind, first of all, who is creating these outstanding labels.
So
this is so cool.
Yeah, thanks. We get a lot of positive comments about our labels, which is rewarding considering the effort that my wife and I put into it. 14 months of Zoom calls over COVID with my wife and I and a graphic designer coming up with all our labels. So it was just
Oh, wow.
a collaboration of the three of us that resulted in this.
And
yeah, very pretty.
what was about the song that that created this label essentially?
And the
yeah,
wine.
and does Alanis ask for any royalties?
Yeah, let's not have that conversation if you don't mind, Phil. So really, the inspiration for the wine names are more about what's in the bottle than necessarily the label art on the bottle. So our Chardonnay, we feel that the interplay of the fruit and the acid in the Chardonnay, in addition to the extended finish that we see in the Chardonnay, reminds us of a wavelength. And in the song, Alanis says, "All I really want is a wavelength." And so, from a sales perspective, that seems appropriate too.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Let's quote her.
let's quote her exactly. It's all so important because it's such a competitive industry. Let's just say it is, and sometimes labels sell wines, but the wine in the bottle has to be good or they're not coming back. So if you're only creating wine for that first sale, you're probably not going to be in business for very long. So, but you're competing with all sorts of different wines out there, and who knows what's going to catch someone's eye if they've never heard of this particular wine, right? So you do want to catch their eye and their attention, and when they open it, they're going to get this.
Yeah, exactly. Wine.
So also tell us a little bit about where Compris comes from. I know it's a French word.
It is. So it means both understood as well as included, which is the mission of our winery, is to create a space where everyone feels welcome, everyone feels included, everyone feels understood. Was the inspiration behind it.
Really nice. Yeah. Was that the name of the winery when you purchased it?
No, it was called Vidon Vineyard, Vidon. The original owners were Vicky and Dawn. So that's how Vidon came about. But I'm Drew, not Dawn, and my wife is Erin, not Vicky. And so the through line was kind of cloudy in how that works. So and we weren't determined to change the name from the onset. It was after about the 400th conversation of me explaining what Vidon means and coming to the conclusion that none of the conversation is about who we are or what we're doing. It's all about the previous owner. Felt that a name change was in order. So yeah, we wanted to establish a place where everyone feels welcome, regardless of where you're at in your wine journey. If you're a neophyte, if you're a seasoned professional, whatever it might be that you feel comfortable, you don't have to have the language down. You do not, there's no pretense here. It's just a welcoming vibe for everybody.
It's interesting when you do a rebrand, and it's already hard enough to make money in this industry, but that takes a lot of guts. But once you weather that challenge, now it's only positive. Ella, I need to know this, since you are the guest experience and marketing coordinator. I want to lean on that guest experience aspect. Without naming names, what's the one tasting room experience that you really won't ever forget? Positive or negative?
Yeah, I think the experiences that you connect with people, you get to feel like you are a part of the place just by being there, and totally understanding the story from everything in the vineyard to what happens in the cellar to the names of the wines and the why of what the winery came to be. I think great wine always helps. A beautiful place, but really kind people and people who want to get to know you and are interested in where you come from as a wine drinker, and trying to meet you where you are and give you the best experience possible. And that's definitely what we strive to do up here.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. And that's, I think, when it's your culture, it's a little easier when it's top to bottom, when people in your staff, if everybody has that same idea, then all of a sudden it's part of the culture, and it comes very easy, doesn't it? It's not like you have to, okay, well, today I'm going to strive to make it another great guest experience. No, it comes from your heart. And so it should probably be pretty natural at this point. I think that's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. People are generally happy when you're pouring them wines, but it's nice when they actually want to connect with you and get to know who you are, and you do the same with them. It's a really great way to build community through wine, which is, I think, the majority of why I fell in love with wine in the first place, is just the connection that you make through a bottle and sharing a glass with friends or people you don't know. So getting to have that every day at work is pretty awesome.
And to be clear, every experience that we've ever had here has been life-changing and terrific. So there are no terrible experiences that are had here.
Awesome. That's
Boy, I teed you up for that one, didn't I?
But that's also a lie, because I personally had. So Ella, just to add some transparency to the conversation. So the entirety of our company is my wife and I, Ella, and one other person. So there's 4 of us that do everything here. We're so we're all required to wear all the hats. And so,
sure.
Ella's out in the farm, as well as the taste. There's limited room on the business card. So you have to pick and choose a couple. But I'm also in the tasting room, and I could share some experiences off camera with you, Phil, that I've had in my 5 years here.
I think that's all we need. That's because we know they're there.
Yeah.
I was more or less, trying to poke a little fun, but I mean, we know they're there, and I think the vast majority are probably positive, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
No, they are. We've had very few. We attract the right kind of people, I think, here, whether by luck or on purpose. I think Ella can attest to that. She's been here with us for about 6 months, and I think I heard her say the other day that for whatever reason, we attract good souls here. So, which is, I guess, a testament to what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Ella, you were going to be a elementary school teacher?
I was, yes. My whole life, that was my dream job. I come from a family of educators. My older sister is a 5th grade teacher. So that was really, I've loved kids my whole life. I was always the one babysitting at family get-togethers and whatnot. And so I started college with that as my goal. And then, unfortunately, I started college in 2020, which was just a rough time to think about anything really, but especially being a teacher. I had gone from in high school being in a classroom like 4 to 5 days a week to being absolutely no time with kids, and just felt like this isn't really feeling like something I can do for the rest of my life. So I took a wine class just on a whim, wanting to do something fun, and kind of discovered the broad world of wine that there really is. It touches everything on this earth, pretty much, human connection and geography and science and art and history and culture and all the good stuff. And it was something I knew pretty much nothing about. So it was exciting to jump into a new field and just feel like I was a sponge for information. And at Linfield, it's a pretty broad degree for wine studies. So I got to dabble in viticulture and winemaking and sustainability and more of the business side of wine, and history and geography and all of those things. So I think I just have a very broad appreciation for wine. And towards the end of my time in college, my friends were like, I think that you should maybe just do wine. Like, you seem to really love this. Every time you talk about it, you light up. So I've bought it.
That's your passion.
Well, can we just say you are still an educator?
Exactly. Yeah, just a little different clientele.
Yeah.
And I have to ask this because it strikes me as very cool that you are a part of a very close-knit wine team at a winery, and you started from basically zero. There's no being brought up in the vineyards. There's no being brought up as a cellar rat. None of this stuff. What would you say to those who are wanting to learn more about wine, but are nervous and afraid because of this perception of it's only for the snobs and all that crap? What sort of advice do you give to people when they're starting out on their wine journey?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just talk to people. I think once you start those conversations, you realize how scary wine isn't and how easy it is to break down these big, complicated, often French words that you may have no understanding of. But we all have experience in life that is relatable to wine. And I think the more you dive into a glass, you realize how much personal experience that you felt like has nothing to do with wine kind of guides you through your tasting. And like, it's all relative, it's all subjective too. And really, like, wine is just rotten grape juice. It's nothing too fancy. We like to put a fancy label on it, but you could make it in a 5-gallon bucket. And so I think that breaking down the pretentious kind of idea behind wine is one of my main passions. I've been trying to get all my friends on board as wine drinkers and the rest of my younger generation to see that this is a beverage for everybody. And really, like, if you break it down, it's not so scary after all.
So we have a wine word of the week that we do every week, and I just feel
it's
like
not French though.
No, it's not. But I feel like I want to do the CDA Gourmet wine word of the week right now, and it's Flinty.
It's an appropriate word.
Any idea why I chose Flinty as the wine word of the week?
Well, there's definitely a Flinty characteristic to this Chardonnay that we're sipping on.
Yeah.
There is, but I've already forgotten because my glass is empty. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit more. Since
he doesn't have any Flint to lick this time.
No, I don't.
Are you a Flint licker, Phil?
The running joke. Well, you know, we were down at Tablas Creek.
Paso Robles.
Down in Paso Robles. Turtle Rock. Yeah, Turtle Rock. No, that's where the story came out. We were at Tablas Creek. And outside they had all of these rocks. And I'm like, I wonder if there's any minerality. I started licking it. And Shelley's like, are you kidding me? It's like, how else are you going to know that experience? So
people are going to come up and get germs.
Now, I would be a Flint licker if there was, that's a hashtag, by the way, Flint licker. If there was any Flint nearby, but I'm not. But tell us what makes this Flinty, because I find this very interesting. Not really sure I've ever read a descriptor like this in a profile on a Chard before.
You got this one, Ella?
I guess. Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the soil type. This is grown on Willikenzie and, help me out.
Marine sediment soil.
As well. And then maybe you should.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's the flintiness comes. There may be just a titch of reduction in this wine that I think lends itself into this mineral kind of flinty characteristics that we're getting. We aged this on the lees, and we do a little batonnage with it. And I just think the combination of getting just a little bit of air into it, as well as kind of the low and slow fermentation. This is 14 months fermented in a 600 liter punch on that results in those characteristics.
And it's not overly oaked at all. And it's also low alcohol, which I like.
Oh, did you look? What is it?
It's like 12 point something.
12%. 12.7.
12.7. Yeah, that's pretty.
That's so
pretty
cool.
Low.
Thank you. By the way, finding that in a lot of these Oregon wines that we featured, the ABV is a little bit lower. Love that. And
that's the nature of the cool climate in the Willamette Valley, right? Like we don't we don't want to have a 13.5, 14% Chardonnay here. I think that's overripe. I think it's results in an over extraction, and it's just not the style of Chardonnay that we're looking to make. I think, kind of the 12.5 range of Chardonnay is where we'd like to land every year.
Sure.
I think that's where that acid and fruit profile really plays well with each other. So I don't see a reason. But Shelley, just to get back to your comment of where it doesn't taste overly oaked, I 100% agree, and it's often surprising to people when they ask. Is right. People come in with these very distinct connotations about what they feel about Chardonnay, and if it's got oak, I don't want it, or if it's stainless steel, I don't want it, or whatever it might be, and so oftentimes we get is it oaked, and I say, well, the fermentation and élevage is all 100% French oak, and so you get these people that kind of turn up their noses, like, that's a hard pass, and just taste it, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to necessarily perceive a lot of it in there, and I think oak is necessary for that texture. I'm not a huge fan of stainless steel for Chardonnay. I think the result is a thin wine that is not necessarily compelling to me. So I think the combination of oak and then aging on the lees and doing some batonnage to add some texture and some of those, again, flinty components is pretty compelling.
I think a lot of people think about these over oaked Chardonnays. And Rombauer even seems to be coming down a little bit. We don't drink a lot of Rombauer, but we had a Farniente this week, and that was not as overly oaked as it used to probably be. But it's the balance. Can we just, to your point, it's that depth and texture and the balance of it. It just, this has got all of that. And I think if people just go in with an open mind and let the wine talk to you and don't talk back, I think you're okay. We should take a break. When we come back, we're going to go with some reds.
Okay.
In fact, the rest will be reds.
The rest.
Okay.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 266. It's really the 13th, but we're publishing on the 23rd.
You just can't do it, can you?
I just can't lie. It's Oregon Wine Month, week 4. And today we are with Drew and Ella from Compris Vineyard in Oregon. In the Willamette Valley, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
specifically Chehalem Mountains, but...
Chehalem Mountains. I do need to... I'm trying to open this 2022 Mountain Echo Estate Pinot Noir. It's a little tricky, isn't it, Drew? You want to walk us through this?
Yeah.
Is this a glass stopper?
It's a Vinalock, is what it's called, a glass stopper. Yeah. And so just take it like this, like you're popping up a
Yep.
Oh, there it goes. Get it?
All in.
I did.
Yeah.
It's anticlimactic with the pop sound.
I know. Fortunately, this is the last one that you have to deal with that, Phil. The rest will be the cork, and you can have all your joy.
Well, let me ask you this as I just, with the help of Drew, opened the 2022 Mountain Echo Estate Pinot Noir. $50 at the winery. That Chard was $55 at the winery. This particular stopper, you can see that. Why did you end up going with those over a cork or faux cork?
So that's a carryover from the previous owners. So when my wife and I bought this, we certainly had our own theories as to the wines that we wanted to make, and the closures and all of the things, right? And we were intrigued by this idea of Vinalocks in so much as it negates the possibility of there being TCA or cork taint in the bottle. And the previous owner was a NASA physicist, worked on the Apollo missions as a physicist,
Okay.
and assured me that the science behind them was solid, and that it's the best closure that you can get. And I think the science behind them is valid. There's that neoprene sleeve on the bottom that was visible when you showed it to the camera there, Phil, and that's the component that actually regulates the oxygen exchange. So we are getting an oxygen exchange in it. I guess there is a diameter of that neoprene sleeve that determines the percentage of oxygen that is being exchanged. And so, like, all of those things sounded good. And so we started with our 21 vintage is 100% Vinalox. The 22 is about 40% Vinalox. But what we found, Phil and Shelley, is two things. One is, as was made evident by the tutorial I had to give you, Phil, I got tired of. I'll tell you what, and God bless.
You were very good at the description on how to do it.
Yeah, sure. But I had a camera was an advantage, and and you were, at least ostensibly sober, that I could give you.
I thought you were going to say I was intelligent.
No, I wouldn't go that far yet, Phil. I don't know you well enough. But I'll tell you, and look, I love East Coast people, and I love how they're forward and they're not afraid to tell you exactly what's on their mind. I'm a native Oregonian, and so we're known to be passive aggressive. I don't have that trait, but I appreciate people that are forward. I've gotten 3 of the best phone calls I've ever received in my life were at somewhere between 10 and 11 p.m. my time, which is 1 to 2 a.m. East Coast time, from people specifically from New York, and males who were very colorful in their in their problems that they were having opening up my wine bottle, in the descriptions of the issues that they were having. So, while I enjoyed the conversation and had a laugh at their expense, I did find that inherently it's problematic if your consumer has issues understanding how to open your bottle. So that was part of
that's very true.
It's the friction thing, right?
Yeah.
The lower friction, the better. What part of Brooklyn were they from? Just okay.
It's interesting. I've got half a mind to put. I've saved the recordings. I've got half a mind to put them up on the website or something, just to show. But I don't know how to do that tactfully. But the other thing. So we're live certified, which is limited intervention viticulture and enology here, both as a vineyard and a winery. And part of that program is every year we are obligated to look through our entire business model and determine where, for instance, our biggest carbon outlay is. And this Vinalock and the bottle that accommodates them, there's one manufacturer left in the world, and it's in the Czech Republic. And what we found is that the carbon footprint that we were putting down as a result of shipping glass and Vinalocks from the Czech Republic to Newberg, Oregon, was the most significant carbon outlay that we had as a business. And so we adjusted our business model. We are getting glass from a local supplier, manufacturer in Portland, Oregon, but they don't accommodate Vinalocks. They do accommodate natural cork, so that's where we have made the transition.
That makes sense.
Well, I would like to raise a toast to this Mountain Echo State Pinot Noir.
We saw her on a cruise.
Oh, really?
On the Oprah cruise, remember? Yeah.
I didn't see her.
Where were you?
I was in the tasting room.
I don't think so.
I was
On a cruise?
India RE, which is what this full bottle of wine and label is inspired from her song, India's song. How narcissistic is that? to write a song and you're the singer. Any story behind that?
Yeah. So well, it's a great song, and I'll have Ella actually explain the lyric in which the name Mountain Echo came from, because she's got a better memory and story for that than I do. But the inspiration, so as Ella had pointed out, we're in the Chehala Mountain sub-AVA of the Willamette Valley. And for this wine, and in general, our winemaking philosophy is we just want to give the vineyard a voice. We're not trying to manipulate a vintage. We're not trying to manipulate what the wine's going to be. So we're in the Chehala Mountains. This is their voice. So it's the mountain echo, right? It's the opportunity for the mountain to have a voice through this wine. And then now Ella can give you the exact lyric.
Yeah, so the India Ari lyric is, "I want to go where the mountains are high enough to echo my song," which I think is just beautiful. And the song is as harmonious as this wine is, so I think it's very emblematic of that. But to be at such a special space, our views are incredible, and I really do think that this wine kind of has that same echo of just beauty and grace, and just very melodic.
It is very graceful.
I was going to say, let's talk about this, because this is sensational. This is as smooth a Pinot Noir as I've had in a long time, and it is very reminiscent of an Oregon Pinot Noir. It's very fruit driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the fruit that this composite is from comes all from our Block 1, which 22-year-old vines at the time of this bottling, all on volcanic Jory soil. So our site, especially that portion of our site, always has this red fruit forward characteristic through it. This wine is a 115-777 Pommard are the clones of Pinot from the block that make up this cuvee. Always red fruit, but those three clones get along so well. Unlike my brothers and I did, they really sing together. So they fill each other's holes and just make this really kind of great complex wine that comes together nicely.
So these three sing together, where you and your brothers are not the Allen trio.
No, gosh, I'm a terrible singer, and I'm probably the best of the three. So you definitely don't want there to be a trio of us. My gosh.
Well, there's got to be entertainment in the world, guys. Just saying.
Oh, we're entertaining. Don't get me wrong. That's
okay. There you go.
I mean, it's at our expense, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. I get nutmeg in this. It's really nice.
Yeah, there's a little bit of cedar on the nose as well, that I think is really complimentary of the fruit, because this is kind of a fruit bomb up front, but it's got nice acidity and fine tannins that lead into that more woody, spiced finish that makes it feel like a more complete wine than just being super fruity and then kind of falling off.
Yeah, it doesn't fall off.
No, you're exactly right about that. And that terms of like you guys talk about that nutmeg and cedar, it's on the side of my mouth, and it it doesn't completely go away on my tongue, but it does revisit back there, and it hangs on for a little bit. And
it's like that one sherry we had a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. If we can ever find that again.
Hazelnut on the end.
Yeah, it's like 45 seconds after taking the sip. You put the little glass down, you start back up with your conversation, and it's not subtle. It was boom, right back. Can't find it anywhere. I want to find it very, very badly. But this is not that prominent coming back and finishing. It's also got super supple tannins. I said supple.
Okay.
I did. I'm sticking to it.
All right. So, Drew, we haven't talked about your wife at all. I know she's in the background somewhere. How did you guys meet, and how did you decide to start a winery?
And what does the term wine garage even mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't what. So is wine garage something that you discovered in some kind of research about us?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to unpack where that potentially came from. Um, and the only thing I can consider is our introduction to Willamette Valley Pinot Noirs was my. So I'll unpack it and answer some of Shelley's questions first. So my wife and I met at work. Uh, this is a second career for the both of us. My first career was in trucking. My dad was a truck driver. What is that? Yep. All right. I can't read it, but that's fine. Uh, old eyes and
You scared me though.
old eyes and shaky Phil hands. But our so we met at my background is in trucking. My dad was a truck driver. I grew up in the industry. It culminated in working for a logistics company that my wife got hired at in 2002. So she was an airline attendant that had gotten furloughed after 9/11 and was looking for a job and found one at a logistics company that I was working for in Portland. So the owner of the logistic company, a gentleman by the name of Dave Namarnik, who now happens to own a laurel vineyard here in the Willamette Valley. But at the time, he was a garagiste. So he was making wine out of his garage in Northwest Portland, which is where my wife and I lived as well. So we were just passing by his row house. He was in the garage tinkering with something. Dave, what are you doing? Oh, I'm making some wine. You should try it. So that was our first sip of Oregon Willamette Valley Pinot Noir was from Dave Namarnik's garage in Northwest Portland. And I think it was kind of the aha moment for us of like, all wine isn't the $7 Chianti from Safeway. There's other things that are available. So that was that part of the story and kind of what got us into wine. As far as the winery and how we came about it, so that was probably 2002. I've got a pretty impulsive personality, and so after that aha moment, kind of went crazy on Oregon Pinot. As I said, mentioned earlier, I'm a native Oregonian, so I'm pretty proud of the quality of wine that comes from the state that I'm from, and so did this really deep dive into all things Oregon Pinot, and as a result, grew this extensive cellar of vintages and producers and doing all the things, deep dive into what the sub AVAs are all about, soil types, winemaking, all of it. Anyway, it just became kind of an obsession for me that ended up in a winery ownership scenario. So it wasn't necessarily in the cards, but my wife and I, like I said, we met in the logistics company. We started our own logistics company in 2006. We converted that to an ESOP, which is an employee stock option purchase in 2017 and sold to our employees and had retired. I had worked 28 years of 80-hour weeks and never had an opportunity for travel. So that was high on our priority list. One of our first travels was a river cruise on the Danube, where we met
Oh,
three couples from Newberg, Oregon, on our ship that held like 100 passengers. And I had expressed kind of my love for Oregon Pinot, my appreciation for it, and my desire to be a part of the industry in some regard. Now, in my head, that was, gosh, I'd love to volunteer for a harvest. I would love to, work a tasting room now and again. Like, retirement wasn't really working well for me. I don't do well with idle time. So I was looking for ways to fill in. I'd never had a hobby, so I was looking for things to fill in some time. Apparently, one of the couples heard this as like me wanting to buy a winery. So 14 years later, we ran into this couple very serendipitously. And he said, "Hey, I've got a buddy selling a winery. Would you be interested in coming and checking it out?" And, my wife and I were, yeah, we got nothing to do tomorrow morning. Let's go check it out. And the rest was kind of history. We fell in love with the site. We fell in love with the idea. There's certainly a romanticism involved with it, and this kind of, again, this serendipitous kind of kismet series of events that led us there. And we pulled the trigger. Ultimately, it came to a conversation that we had of if we passed on the opportunity, would we regret it? And our answer was yes. So we jumped at the opportunity.
You have to follow your gut so often. So let me just review. You traded in the 80-hour work weeks for 100-hour work weeks. So there you go.
Volunteering
You're right, Phil.
Volunteering in wine.
But it's the difference is I'm enjoying what I'm doing here, and I can't say that
it's not work.
I found no joy in transportation, but the opportunity for joy was certainly more limited than it is now. Phil, it's not work.
Nope.
I don't know what else I would do getting out of bed every morning or what else I'd want to do every day than this. So.
Yeah, that's so cool. I do want to say, because when you were asking me where I've heard the term about the wine garage, I started getting really nervous because oftentimes I'll plug in some about pages into
somebody else's episode,
an LLM. No, that I email other people from other people's episodes. That's another story. But into a AI, and they spit out some things, and I peruse most of it, make sure it's like the first time on this, they came back and said, well, you're going to want to talk about Coeur d'Alene and why they started their winery in Coeur d'Alene. And I said, where did you see that they're in Coeur d'Alene? They're in Newberg, Oregon. But I thought maybe there was a chance.
Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. I mean, it's a little dreary today, but it's still green, and the golfers are still out there, and I'm not one of them.
My in-laws live in.
But it does say. Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
But what?
Your parents?
No, my in-laws. My wife's parents live in.
Oh, your in-laws.
Yeah. So.
So you get to this neck of the woods from time to time.
We do. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good. You're going to have to let us know next time you're in Coeur d'Alene. We'll be sure to avoid you. So I can't help myself when I've been given the permission.
Yeah.
On your website, Drew, it does say a couple whose journey into the world of wine began not with grand aspirations, but with a shared passion sparked in 2002 at a friend's wine garage. So I had to do some quick checking on that, so I knew I was
fair enough. Yeah.
Jeez.
Those things were written like 5 years ago, so what they say is not necessarily top of mind.
Well, what else should I be? All apologies.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh. I'm sorry. It is my favorite Nirvana song.
I love it.
Good one.
We just opened the 2022 As One Pinot Noir. Did I get the label? There we go. Oh, good. Shelley finished her glass. No dump bucket fill that time. It is a good sign.
It's a good sign for the wine, for the health, for all the things.
It is. And we are in the real corks. I had no problem opening that one.
No instructions
you have to walk me through that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I just chuckle every time I think about those New Yorkers and their colorful language.
Well,
you should put that on your social media.
Is that where I should put it, Shelley? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It could go viral.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
In a bad way.
Sometimes if I'm feeling down, I'll play it on my phone just so I can get a chuckle. So
it's nice and uplifting.
Yeah.
You could share that with us. However, we would have to slap an explicit tag on, and we almost had to do that with Claire with Big Table Farm. I didn't do it. She only dropped 3 F-bombs, and I teetered on that one.
Claire's fantastic. I love Claire.
I'll tell you what, there has not been one winery or any of the wines that we featured this month that have been disappointing by any stretch. They have been all over the top better than we expected. And we already expected high results. It's this is just so much fun.
Well, you picked
That's
some
very
good ones,
fun. Oregon
which
Winery is
like I don't mean to turn the table on you, Phil, or
No,
Shelley, but what led you to finding Compris?
well, it's funny you should say. And if you want, we can pull this out. It was much like Highland Estates. So Shelley and I belong to the Gary V Wine Club.
Okay.
That should help. Gary V Wine Club is through Wine Library out of New Jersey. And they also have a wine text. Every day I get a wine text. And
there it is now.
that's Gary on X Twitter.
Oh.
But the wine text comes in. It's usually a $65 bottle of wine you can get today for $23 or $19 if you buy a case, free shipping, blah blah blah. And so it's a good way for me to keep names of vineyards and wineries in my head and see kind of what the price points are in the market and things like that on a very superficial level, but yet every day, all the time.
Yeah.
So they have a seller text and a wine text. And what should come up one time was a Highland Estates. And so I looked up Highland Estates, and then I started Googling a couple other Oregon wineries, and I'm like, well, if they're thinking outside the box for their marketing, maybe they'd like to be on our podcast, which they did.
Yeah.
And then there was another one. It was Compris out of Oregon. And like, well, if Compris likes to think outside the box in their marketing, perhaps they wouldn't mind being featured on our podcast. And it's, to your credit, it's that thinking outside the box, what we like to call guerrilla marketing in essence, which is what, everybody wants to market and they want to do the least amount of work with the best results. And it's usually the other way around. You're going to do a whole lot of work. And if you do that, you're going to get decent results. But you have to be smart about it. Mm-hmm. So to our joy and glee, you guys said yes as well. And I tried to pull up which ones those were. I should have that really close, but I just seemingly can't find it. So there you go.
They're the two wines.
And yeah, say that again.
This is the two wines we're sipping on: the 22 As One and the 22 Mountain Echo.
And there you are. And I'm looking at them right now. And that was the other thing is they have a last chance sale. And so those wines that I've had come through the Gary V Wine Club, that we really like, I will make note of those. And if I see them coming up in a last chance wine sale and I'm feeling like dropping another $250 for, $500 or $600 worth of wine, I'll look for those. And so I saw yours, this one that we're having right now, as well as that Mountain Echo come up, and then the two Highland Estates also came up. So,
and there's your market research.
Right? I mean, in essence. So, how is? Gosh, may I ask, how is that working? Because we found Rocky Pond that way.
Yeah.
I had no idea who Rocky Pond Winery was, and had certainly never heard of the Rocky Reach AVA in Washington. And there they were. So how is that working as a business model?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to quantify, right? Like if you get an order from somebody that you've not heard of, like where do they find you, right? Like that's not part of the order process of you can't buy this wine unless you tell me where you heard about us from, right? So it's hard to quantify. Like this is a great segue. It leads me to one of the best things I've learned in this industry, and I learned it from Claire from Big Table Farms. She took a meeting with us early on into our launching into this wonderful business, and her thing was, I am confident that 50% of our marketing dollars are wasted. I just have no idea which 50% they are. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks to it. Like I have no idea. Right. Like I can make assumptions, but I have no idea if it works or not.
That whole idea, there was probably 10 years ago and everyone was saying the QR code is out. Nobody uses them anymore. I'm like, I I don't get it. It's really, really useful. And here we are seeing QR codes on TV. And so that is so trackable.
Yeah.
In newspaper ads, very trackable. Even in social media, you have a QR code up there that actually tracks that specific place where your potential customer is coming from. And so, you know, marketers do ruin everything. Okay. That is true. Marketers
digital marketers
ruin everything. But you can still stay true to your brand and your culture and yourself by marketing relationships. And, you know, it kind of goes like this. You kind of have to get a little dirty sometimes, but as long as you stay true to yourself, it's all a good deal. But I mean, I see you have a QR code on the back of this, so that's fantastic. But yeah, I don't know when we have Brandon from Wine Library on, we'll have to ask him about that. How do wineries track this marketing? Because, you know, they're getting a hell of a deal and they're selling it for a hell of a deal. That's all a part of the marketing, right?
Yeah.
And that's marketing awareness.
And that's marketing awareness. It's keeping your name. Again, for us, I'm looking for, it's a new model for me that I just started using to try to bring guests on. And so far, it's working pretty well with the type of guests we're having on it. And the wine is fantastic. And the guests are really good, especially, you know, Ella. But
oh, God, this is great.
We have not talked about this wine.
No.
That's a good segue.
It's a great segue, kind of. Yeah. I do want to
talk about something other
what differentiates
what
differentiates this Pinot from Mountain Echo and this Pinot as one, other than the vineyards and terroir specifically?
Oh, that's all.
Well, I mean, but that is something. Yeah, let's talk about this Pinot.
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So this As One is kind of a look at the vineyard As One. So where the Mountain Echo is a blend of 115, 777, and Pommard clones. This is a blend of pretty much everything we have on the site, 115, 777, Pommard, and 667. So it's just a little bit more encompassing of everything that we have on our site. But it also lends more traits from the marine sediment soils that we have on property rather than just being the volcanic soils. So to us, this is more of our Oregon style Pinot Noir, if the Mountain Echo is more of our Burgundian style with a brighter red fruit profile. This is more brooding. It has a little bit of that funky, earthy, foresty floor kind of mushroom flavor going on, more of those blue fruit characteristics, and is a little bit of a fuller bodied Pinot compared to the last one.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Said this a couple of times now in the last month. I'm seeing a trend, especially in California Pinots, of just a little bit more weighty. And I like it myself. It's
the weightiness?
Yeah, it seems like your ability to pair even more foods with it is there. I could be really wrong about that. But I did detect that also, Ella, is that this had it's not big. It's just a little bigger than the previous one.
Yeah. Yeah. Got his pants on a little bit.
I love that. I had a question in front of my mind and it just went poof away. Poof. How many cases are you guys making every year right now?
1,500, depending on vintage.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good number.
Yeah, for us, I think it's where we want to be right now. I think, our big audacious goal would be to produce everything that our vineyard can give us in any given vintage. So we have some of our blocks that aren't online yet. So we just planted some Cab Franc in 2022. We're getting our first harvest of that this year. So ultimately, once the entirety of our vineyard gets online, we'll have the opportunity to make somewhere around 22 to 2,500 cases. And so that's that's kind of where we're striving to get to, is that, and then that's kind of where we cap. We want to remain 100% estate grown. It's nice. I think I hear it from people and I can see it from people when they come up and they kind of look over our views in our vineyard, and we can literally point to every vine that has produced the fruit that ends up in their glass, right? And so I think that's powerful and impactful for them.
Well, if you don't have, if it's all estate fruit, then you don't have to get in the truck and go and get those grapes to deliver back to your winery, right?
Yeah,
I don't
have to
You've
mess
had
with
enough of that.
Yeah. The commute for the grapes is similar to my commute from my house to the tasting room, which is about 40 yards. It's nice. So yeah, no, we don't worry about any of that. And, we've got enough, as Ella intimated earlier, we've got different soil types. We've got 3 soil types on property. We've got several different
varietals. That is amazing.
Yeah. Got several different varietals on property, Chardonnay, Pinot, Viognier, Gamay, Cab Franc, Syrah. So it keeps us, it allows us the opportunity to have some very compelling wines.
What prompted you to take that step towards Cab Franc, which I love?
I think first and foremost, it's understanding that our soil, our climate, our site is conducive to it. And then the rest of it is just happy coincidence of it happens to be one of my wife and I's favorite varietals. We are convinced that we can make a world-class Loire kind of Cab Franc from our site. So yeah, that was just a happy set of circumstances. But yeah, it first and foremost is the research of like, is this stupid? Are we the only ones, or if not the only ones, one of the only ones doing it because it's stupid, or is it because nobody else has thought of it, or maybe there's not a market for it yet. I don't know, but I'm anxiously awaiting it.
I know I should know the answer to this, but Chinon is in the Loire Valley, correct?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Yeah. I don't have to cut that out. Oh, and I would. Yeah. I look stupid enough as it is.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree.
Oh, that's fantastic. By the way, thank you. Gamay and Cab Franc is coming, and you're growing Gamay. That is so cool. Because these are grapes that many people just don't know, and they're delicious. I'm telling you, if you like Pinot Noir, probably gonna like Gamay.
100%, like Gamay.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We got our first harvest of it last year, Phil. 509 pounds of it, and wow. It's we had to buy. Its own special little baby barrel. It's a half barrel size that we got from Francois Frere. So it's 100% new oak Gamay that's sitting in this little 114 liter barrel, and it's, well, I mean, Ella I think can attest to it. It's a knockout barrel in the cellar.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I
think I may have heard Ella say 100%.
Yeah. Gamay is my favorite red varietal. And so
is that fun?
When I was talking to Drew and Aaron and already on board with loving their wines and heard that there was Gamay on property, I was 100% sold to wanting to be up here. I think if you get a little Pinot out in Oregon, Gamay is the perfect grape to go to because it's just, it feels like a little step above Pinot.
I just have to ask. Are you going to do a Gamay Nouveau?
A Beaujolais Nouveau day?
A Gamay Nouveau. Oh. Here, we just pressed this. It's in the bottle. Drink it.
We are not, unless you want to buy it all. So I will make a Phil and Shelley Beaujolais Nouveau.
Here's the thing. You would be at least 5 days ahead of the French, and you could enter the market before.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying.
You create the market for me, Phil. I'll create the wine.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't even think they can sell it out.
I'm thinking of the logistics of that. I'm like, no, I already don't have time to sleep. So anyway, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna have something that does not have song inspiration attached to it.
Yeah,
that we could find. That we could find.
It does.
I don't know. You'll have to come back after the break to find out.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Drew and Ella with Compris Vineyard out of Oregon. 4 out of 5 Fridays this month. There are 5 Fridays in this month. We're on number 4 for Oregon Wine Month. That's a whole lot to say nothing, really. So I'm going to open up this other one, which surprised me a little bit because it is a 2022 Midnight Journey Syrah. And again, you just kind of, it's not at the forefront of my brain that you guys are making Syrah there in Oregon, and it's a little darker. A little darker. Oh, yes, there you are, right there. Right.
Another beautiful label.
There. Yes. Okay, so before we went to break, I said this didn't have a song, and apparently it does. I'm going to go back and take a look. You guys want to tell me I didn't queue up a song? By the way, I made a Spotify playlist just before you guys came on. It's called Episode 266, and right now it contains 3 songs so that I could easily go to them when I needed to.
That's awesome.
This song inspiration is The Doors, The End of the Night.
Ah.
I see it nowhere.
So it must not be true.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it is true. It's just
The End of the Night. Okay.
It's just the show. It illustrates our lack of marketing acumen.
You're sitting next to your marketing director. You better be careful.
Yeah. Well, look, she's 6 months in, and you got to take it in small bites, right? So
there you go.
We haven't unleashed her on the entirety of going to revisit all the website things and all of that. So
your website is really beautiful, though.
Yeah,
thank you,
and it's very informative, which is I always like as much information as possible on the wines on the website. By the way, even on the labels, and you guys have info on the labels, which is great. And the QR code does not hurt. It doesn't. That's just such a great thing. So people don't have to. How is that spelled? No, put your camera up there. It'll take you. This is 13.2 alcohol.
That's pretty low.
13.3 for a Syrah.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Yes, Ella, tell me.
Oh, yeah. I think with a bolder red, it's kind of nice to have a lower alcohol level. I think you get to enjoy more of the aromas and the characteristics and the depth in the wine, and it's not so hot and heavy and kind of in your face. You can really step back and enjoy this wine with just a glass and don't necessarily feel like you need a meal to accompany it, although it pairs excellent with all kinds of food. So,
yeah, why don't we talk about that? What would you guys pair with this Syrah?
I think, I made paella for the first time with the Syrah, and that was amazing. Some chorizo and shrimp and some white fish was just excellent with that. This spiciness really complements the savory palate of this wine, but I don't know. What's your favorite thing?
I'm a ribeye guy. Give me that might be like my death row meal. Not that I'm destined for death row.
I think ours too.
Let's just pretend I am. I'm, right, ribeye and this, good night. It's over. But
How about the Chardonnay? Oh, definitely a ribeye. How about those Pinots? Ribeye.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. I don't disagree. Ribeye is my love language.
Everyone's talking about New York this and filet that, and it's a bone-in ribeye in this house.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And rare is all good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes out a little blue, doesn't it, Shelley? And we still eat it.
A little bit.
There's just
I'm sure it'll warm up.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll rest.
Exactly. It's warm out today. It'll get through that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
there's a little bit of Viognier here.
Yeah, a very little bit. Unfortunately,
5% or something.
No, that's what I shoot for. But 2022, we had a frost in April of 22 that knocked out about 80% of our primary buds here at our vineyard.
Oh my gosh.
And so as a result, we were dependent upon our secondaries. And what that did is, and we had a very wet spring and it was a delayed start and blah, blah, blah. But it delayed the vintage. And so because we co-ferment, similar to kind of Côte Rôtie in the Northern Rhone, we co-ferment our Viognier and Syrah. The only way to co-ferment grapes is if you pick them at the same time. So Syrah is always the last thing we pick. And by proxy, Viognier is the last thing we pick. Well, we have 11 rows of Viognier that historically result in somewhere around 12 to 1,400 pounds of Viognier.
How many cases does that amount to?
Well, it's enough for 5% in our Syrah and about 20 to 25 cases of Viognier.
Okay.
But in 2022, because it was a late harvest, it coincided with the starlings' migratory pattern. And the starlings got all but 189 pounds of our Viognier in 2022.
Oh, bastards.
This particular vintage is 1.6% Viognier.
Wow.
And no Viognier bottling happened. So yeah, no, those bastards is my sentiment exactly. I've even gotten to the point where the previous owners have this bird feeder outside of our kitchen window that part of the sale agreement was we had to keep this damn thing full all the time with bird seed to carry on the 20-year tradition. And so my wife has diligently done just that. However, in fall, it attracts the starlings. And my wife will kill me. Hopefully she never listens to this. But
careful. Hey,
she's gotten to the point where she sees a starling on the bird feeder and she's just it goes into full scarecrow mode of getting the things away from the bird feeder. She potentially hates starlings more than I do, which is a feat.
Wow. Yeah. So did they qualify what kind of seed you had to keep in it?
And how do they enforce this agreement?
Actually, yes. So it's a hulled sunflower seed. So it's sunflower seeds that are not shelled, that are not inexpensive. It's a significant expense on the line item. So on the ledger, it's fortunately, my wife is a diligent shopper, and Fred Meyer carries the seed and often has buy one get one opportunities, and so she waits for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a bird feeder, and we have trouble with the squirrels. So we heard that if you put cayenne pepper in the seeds,
it's fine for the birds.
It's okay for the birds, but the squirrels don't like it.
Yeah, that's not true.
We can say that's not true.
Just like the deer don't like, daisies or tulips. Yeah. They don't know they don't like them. They pull them out and they're like, oh, this is gross. Oh, there's another one. I'll pull that one out. Yeah, no. So I've got a little BB gun now and I'm starting to pelt the squirrels when they get it because I work from the deck. And I just
so rude.
No, it's not. It's rude when the squirrels eat the bird seed. That's rude.
Yeah, not
priority, Shelley. I'm not killing them. I'm just getting right in the butt, and they limp away and look back and fly me the finger. But
Are you
that's,
that good a shot with the pellet gun, Phil, where you can actually get him in the hind quarters?
I amazed myself. Now, I only shot when his head was there's a little post in the middle. And his head was behind that. I'm like, okay, I got to see exactly how good I am. And I nail him in the butt. I mean, it's a pretty good little BB gun. It's a rifle one, a Red Ryder, if you will.
I was just going to say, you got to put an eye out. Yeah.
That's right. That's a good reference right there. That's fantastic. I need to ask both of you guys what your gateway wine was, or your aha wine. We've kind of established now there's a gateway wine that'll get you into drinking wine. Maybe not always the best wine in the world, like your in my case, White Zinfandel from Sutter Home. But then there's
Annie Green Springs.
Or Annie Green Springs. But then there's that aha wine. And sometimes it's the same wine, but the aha wine, like in my case, or I don't know about Shelley, was the Marseillais Chardonnay. That was my aha, where I tasted that. I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome. No more White Zinfandel. What were your guys' wines? Because I something tells me you know what they are.
Yeah. For me, it's more of a moment than the bottle itself. I mean, it was a good wine, but I was in Amsterdam with my grandmother, who was gracious enough to gift me a post-graduation trip. And we spent almost a week in Amsterdam, and we found this little wine bar called Shiraz in the Jordan neighborhood. And we went there multiple times. We just had an absolute amazing time there. But there was some Oregon wine on the list there. And I think that just totally opened my eyes to the scope of Oregon wine and how, I don't know, growing up in McMinnville, I always felt like we were pretty small beans, but, people on a national scale are pretty impressed with what we're putting out, and so are we. So I'm pretty sure it was an A to Z Chardonnay, but it was just delicious for that perfect moment, and just kind of gave me that like realization that Oregon wine is a pretty big deal, and you don't have to be necessarily in Oregon to enjoy it, which was pretty eye-opening and cool for me.
That's so cool. How about you, Drew?
So I think I already suggested that the wine garage that I forgot about was my aha moment of like, oh, Oregon wine is like something to be really proud of. That's great. I think that, and I don't know that I can necessarily identify where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the moment in which like I'm converted. But I will say one of my favorite wines I've ever had, and I think probably is what solidified like the really deep rabbit hole, is that 2005 Upper Terrace from Beaufrere. That remains one of my favorite, and fortunately I still have a few bottles in the cellar that they've been holding their own still 20 years later. It's been about a year since I popped one, but I'm confident in the last taste that we're still good.
Do you use a Corvin to taste those at all?
I don't. I don't. We
have a Corvin. We've yet to use it.
Yeah, I don't know. I commit, right? Like, I mean, it's like buying the winery, right? Like, oh wait, like I kind of wanted to just like work a harvest, or I can just buy a winery. I'm just, if I'm going to do something, I commit. I'm all in. So there's been times where I'm disappointed in that decision. That I wish I had been more vigilant in perhaps tasting the core. But right, like that's part of the fun for me in it.
It is.
Taste this bottle. Sometimes you're disappointed. Other times it's like, oh my gosh, this is so rewarding. And it's kind of the fun and excitement in the moment.
You can regret it the other direction too by saying, "Oh, I probably should have opened this last year."
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So if something's over the hill,
100%. And
those would be the ones. Yeah.
I don't know. There's science behind different things, and Coravin's a fantastic product, and I think it's great. But I think you get to a point in which the negative space in a bottle, comparatively to the wine in a bottle, Henry's Law takes over, and you just lose freshness, regardless of what you're replacing that negative space with. So, just my own personal opinion, but.
We have
Yeah.
we have a magnum of Scribe Cabernet Sauvignon that my daughter gave me for my birthday one year, and they number their bottles. So this was number 0001. I'm like, I'm not even sure I could ever open this, but it's a magnum, so maybe that we break the Corvin out on that possibly. And then there's that Opus One that I'm just gonna hang on to that for a little bit, probably too. I'm like you, man. When you commit to opening it, that's what Open That Bottle Night's all about. Open that bottle and let the wine be the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'll get off my little.
It's made for
soapbox.
sharing. Like, get that Magnum and don't Corvin that thing, Phil. Just get your daughter. Your daughter gave it to you. Invite her over. Have some friends.
It will be with them.
Just pop that sucker and drink it.
Yep, it will be with them. I know that to be true. Shelley, how's your voice doing? Do you want to talk about some of the wines we had this week?
Are they French?
No.
Some of the wines we enjoyed this week: Elsom Cellars Logan, Emolo Merlot, Giovanna Tantini Bardolino, Chiaretto.
Nicely done.
And Antinore Popoli Chianti Classico.
Yeah, we also had that Farniente that I didn't make it onto there, but it did make it on mine, that Chardonnay. That was, we splurged on that one a little bit. We splurged tonight with these wines. My goodness. Go and check out Compris Vineyard. All of these wines have hyperlinks in the show notes, unless you listen on Spotify. And
they have a wine club.
They have a wine club. That second wine I've got wrong on the notes. The Mountain Echo Estate on the website says $45. I said 50 for whatever reason, not sure. 55 for that As One Pinot Noir, and then $50 for this Syrah right here.
Are you going to put the playlist on the notes too?
All 3 songs.
Well, you have to add
4 songs. You got to include End of the Night. And I will say that I noticed that you had said the Mountain Echo price was that it was incorrect. I just assumed that you were taking a cut.
Well, now that you mentioned it, I didn't want to be so, brazen to say it on a public podcast, but you said it. So yes, of course. And we'll work on the percentages down the road. Some things coming up down the road as we're going to wrap up Oregon Wine Month next week. It's also Australian or Aussie Wine Month, but we have had 0 Australian wines this month. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the Judgment of Paris. Anniversary is their 49th anniversary of that judgment, that tasting. I'm guessing, Ella, you weren't around for that, but
gave you that hint.
Well, unless you're really aging very well.
All about the red wine.
But that's right. Have you read up on that? Do you know about the Judgment of Paris?
Yeah, definitely.
Some opinions about that. I just love to get your feedback, both your guys, on the Judgment of Paris. We think it's a big deal, and
I think
next year's year 50
for New World wines in general, to put up the argument that it's not all about time spent, and terroir has a huge factor in quality of wine. And I think being a New World, fairly young wine region in comparison to Italy and France and whoever else, it was really important to be on a main stage and show that these wines are up to snuff and worth paying attention to in general. I think that made Oregon producers take themselves a little bit more seriously as well, and show that there's our money's where our mouth is.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew, what are
Uh,
your
I
thoughts
think
about
a
that
couple things.
competition?
Like, I mean, certainly I can appreciate its opportunity to put New World wine on the map, but I think perhaps equally as important is highlighting how hard it is to blind taste a wine, and how humbling blind tasting
Yeah.
is, and also how subjective wine
Yep.
is. And
Mm,
I
yes.
find it interesting, like, some of the French judges in that panel, after the blind tasting was revealed, and the winners, they
You
immediately
tricked
wanted to
us.
take back their vote, right? Like,
I know.
no, that couldn't have happened. There's no way, right? Only,
Yeah.
only, only to repeat itself for like three subsequent tastings. But
Yeah.
uh, that being said, it's a you're right. Like, wine is a humbling endeavor, and
It
you
is, yeah.
you can think you know what the hell you're doing, and feel confident in your ability to identify terroir, and be humbled instantly, as that showed. And so look, I'm not a big proponent of wine scores and critical scores. I think they play an important role in the industry. Um, but from a consumer perspective, I think that you need to be careful, if you're score chasing, because wine is so subjective.
Yeah. It's
That's so
so
true. Mhm.
subjective. We have a little game in this house that I play. Shelley participates, not by choice. But when I bring a wine from downstairs, and I don't necessarily want her to know what it is, and pour a glass and we taste it up, and what do you think it is? And man, when she nails it, it's like, is this Syrah? It is. Yes. It's so exciting when you get that. I would never get it right.
Mm.
I failed when New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc to me is the most obvious profile in the world.
Seemingly.
And yet, at a blind tasting, I missed it. So you're exactly right. You take that one thing away, the knowledge of what it is,
Yeah.
and you're going strictly by your nose and your taste and the mouthfeel
and your memories of scents. I mean,
yep.
smells, yeah, and taste.
So it's
Like one time I had a wine that reminded me of the swamps when I used to go frog catching. I'm like, well, is that a good thing or not?
well, it's something, we each have our own unique
Subjective,
experiences in life, and that's how you're going to identify
Mhm.
this tastes like chalk. Well, did you eat chalk as a kid? I did. Well, there you go. I mean,
Wintergreen paste.
wintergreen paste. Anyway, and it is very impressive when you actually see people that are very good at that. And I think that these French judges got in their heads and they didn't want to make the wrong choice. And, they screwed the pooch on that. But we did an episode where we brought in, it was all for Zinfandels, and I brought in a Pinot Noir from Russian River Valley. It was blind. And this is a sommelier here at Beverly's. I don't know, Drew, if you've been up at Beverly's here in Coeur d'Alene.
No.
But he was the sommelier up there. It's at the resort. And he tasted this and he's like, he was thinking Zinfandel, but he said, this is not tasting like a Zinfandel. I'm getting more, I don't know, Pinot Noir from Russian River Valley. And he nailed it. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I kind of hate.
And so, what's that?
I kind of hate people like that.
Yeah.
Well, at least
we can't.
I'm just kidding.
Sam is down to earth. He is very
I'm
down to
just
earth.
kidding. It's absolutely impressive. I aspire to be that good at some point in my life.
Well, I can tell you if it's red or white, but
sometimes not.
Then again, it's the guy from Monty Python did this blind tasting. He had the wines in glasses that were darkened, so you couldn't see what kind of wine.
I heard about this. Yeah.
I put it in show notes on a couple of episodes. Maybe I'll drop it in this one as well. I can't think of his name. Anyway, and he asked the question, how many people thought your wine was red?
Yeah.
And half the people, and how many people thought it was white? He says, you're all drinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And see, Lucie was there. So there you go.
Right. Coming up
next week, we have Andre Mack with us. After 2 years trying to get him on, we have Andre Mack, sommelier and a winemaker in Oregon. And there's Lucie, because she's excited about that, and she sees the squirrel. Lucie, that's enough. Thank you. We're going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for being here. What a way to end an episode. Thanks to our sponsors, Elsom Cellars and Naked Wines, and to Drew and Ella. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and you guys for representing making these fantastic wines that you're going to get a flood of orders from because of people. And go visit them. With that, with a little bit of knowledge, time becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you, Lucie. Thank you, guys. My gosh.
Our pleasure. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you. To health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.
So, how much time do we have? Just so I don't take too much, because Shelley knows I will.
We've cleared off our schedule. I'm not entirely convinced which direction I want to go as far as record breaking with your podcast is concerned, because I understand that the length of the podcast is dependent upon how compelling the conversation is, and so. Yeah, I don't know if I want to break the record for shortest podcast with Phil and Shelley, or if I want to break the record for longest. So we'll see.
Well, the shortest podcast was episode 69 when I was in ICU with COVID, and I did it on my very own, and it was 9 minutes.
Oh my God!
So if you break the record for sure, yeah, I did it basically. I did 3 in the ICU, so
oh my gosh,
3 weeks, no wine. No Shelley, and